And we're live. How's it going, everyone? This is Jose Trujillo. I apologize for yesterday. I couldn't make it yesterday. I'm going to try to get them rolling. Yesterday was supposed to be Ask the Artist, and my sincere apologies. I couldn't make it. But I will definitely start doing my best on mailing them. Okay, every day, every weekday at noon. So today is about Tuesday art marketing, right? Today's Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? Well, we would hope that it's Tuesday, right? I don't think I know the days that I live anymore, but we'll go with that one, okay? Why art marketing? Guys, if you guys know if it's Tuesday, please let me know, and so that I can stop and move on. If it's not Tuesday, I apologize. I don't know the days that I live. I don't pay attention to that. So here we go. So art marketing, right? Today's going to be about art marketing. Please let me know that you're watching. If you're going to be joining in. And please, if you find any value in this, share the love, okay? Share the love. I'm looking shabby. I apologize. I woke up with a massive headache, so I was like, ah. So here we go. Art marketing. How's it going, Didi? Good seeing you. We're gonna be talking about art marketing. What is art marketing first? Okay, we're gonna touch on that. Or I'm going to touch on that. You guys please jump in if you guys have questions and whatnot about this. But what is art marketing, right? Well, art marketing is the same thing as any other type of marketing. It really has to do. I don't know if you recall when people used to say, "Get your stuff out there." You know, get your stuff out there. If you're an artist or if you don't have much experience with this kind of stuff. Usually people tend to say, get your stuff out, you know, go to galleries, do this, do that, get your artwork in front of people. So that's one form of marketing. Anything that has to do with delivering a message, it's marketing. Okay, anything, not everything that has to do. Because we communicate with voice and everything, but I'm talking about preparing something, right? For example, if I want to have a sale, right? Well, most people, what they do is that they'll do some sort of flyers. Now we do them online. They're still flyers, they're invitations, they're this or that, but it's the same thing. We're trying to create a communication with an intention to get a return, right? Whatever that is, whether it's participation, whether it's someone to visit us, whether it's money, whatever it is, it's a return we're expecting. So we formulate any type of communication. Okay, so that's what marketing is, right? There's so many definitions around it, but it's essentially that. It's formulating a communication, whether that's an email, that's even if it's verbal, whatever it is. Okay, so why is this thing so important, and what does it have to do with art? Well, it's very simple. Okay, as artists, we want to get our message across. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to sell artwork or you're trying to, the deal doesn't matter. Whether you're a poet and you're trying to write your poetry and create a little, book, coffee table book, or you're a photographer and you're trying to get your images in a coffee table or exhibited or whatever, it's the same thing. What matters though is that we do it. And it doesn't really, there is no right or wrong way of doing it. I don't know if you've heard any advertisement, whether it's good or bad, is good advertisement. What does matter is how you want your brand to be perceived, right? And that tends to matter a bit more, especially as you're going into getting your work out. Let me give you an example, okay? Let's say that you're a painter like me, and you're like, man, I want to get my work out, right? I want to be able to get a gallery exhibit. Maybe that's your deal, right? You want to get gallery exhibits. Well, one very simple way of doing it is, of course, going and talking to galleries, right? That's a form of marketing. You're marketing, you're communicating yourself about your artwork, and you're doing it in multiple places. But as artists, we tend to kind of dread this kind of situations. We don't want to deal with them many times, and I totally understand why. You know, we tend to think that this is going to somehow make us look desperate, make our artwork look not professional. We have these ideas of what an artist is, and I think that anything to do with sales and marketing kind of trumps that. You know, it makes it bad. It makes it look bad, right? Let me take a little sip. I need some coffee. So, how do we apply that? How's it going, Marcia? I'm so glad. I apologize for yesterday, Marcia, about I was supposed to do Mondays Ask the Artist, but I will start doing this. I apologize for not showing up yesterday. I'm a bad boy. So, why is marketing so important, regardless of what you do? Okay, I'm kind of just touching on the subject as we get a couple more people involved. That way, you guys can ask questions if you have any regarding the subject. But why is it so important, regardless of what you do? Why is it so important? See, here's where it comes. Okay, here's where what it comes down to. Regardless of what you do, it has to be communicated. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're a poet, if you're a painter, if you're a photographer, if you're a musician, you will have to get your message across. And we need marketing, as well as we need the skills of, you know, creating artwork or whatever. We need marketing. We need to get involved in that aspect. I made another video on YouTube regarding this, and some people got offended. Some people just don't like this topic, but because it imposes, right? It kind of shines light and says, look, if you care about this, you do need to pay attention to this, right? You need to pay attention to this aspect. So I talked about Van Gogh and how Van Gogh was a great artist, and a lot of us, love Van Gogh, love the artwork, but unfortunately he didn't have the other aspect, right? He didn't have the aspect of marketing, and it's kind of a go-to when it comes to pointing out marketing, not because he was the only case. There's thousands and thousands of cases of artists that just never become known. And we kind of have this hope that, well, maybe someday, maybe when I die, my artwork, it's not necessarily true. Another thing is that, it's another topic, but another thing is that artwork doesn't really work that way. Your artwork gets sold as vintage. I don't know if you've seen that. It kind of gets sold as vintage, but it's not the provenance of the artist or whoever owned it. It really has to do that 50 years have gone by, and then the art, price goes a little higher in auctions. You see that on auctions, but it has to do with the fact that it's vintage, not that the artwork is good or bad or by a prominent artist. So, just a little side note right there. So don't wait till you get older, and please don't take that because you're gonna die. The prices are gonna go up. No, the only reason they go up is because the vintage, and it's just the same as a piece of furniture or a glassware or whatever. It's it's the vintage factor that makes the price go up. So so why do I focus on this, and why do I talk about this? If you go to my YouTube channel, I keep talking about this kind of stuff because the art part. Here's why: the art part is the easiest thing. And I know that we tend to think it's not, but if you want to be a professional artist, if you want to create artwork for a living, or you want to be able to take it to the next level, whatever that is for you, maybe you don't want to create artwork for a living, maybe you want to just do it on the side, kind of like Peter Paul Rubens. Peter Paul Rubens had I think he was a lawyer or something. I don't know. He worked in he had like a fancy job, and then he painted on the side, right? It was another thing. If I'm not mistaken, it was Peter Paul Rubens. But regardless of where where do you want to position your artwork? You're going to need to market it. You're going to need to take it, if you want to get gallery exhibits, you're going to need to get the message across. It's not going to happen unless there's a message happening. And many times we tend to think, as artists, that someone else will do that for us. And this is very erroneous. It's in my personal belief, it's what kills the whole thing. It's what kills dreams. It's what kills opportunity. It's what that kind of thinking will maintain us in a obscurity. Okay, and I'm not talking about obscurity as a negative. I'm talking, well, I guess it's negative. Obscurity in the sense that nobody knows you, that your artwork will not touch galleries or enough of them in order to create an imprint in the market and be known and being seen and maybe even also get your artwork. The more you're seen, the more you're known, your artwork goes in value because now you have now you have name recognition, and that is one of the biggest aspects of being an artist, right? Because it's all about branding. It's name recognition. It doesn't have to be with the whole world. It can be with a segment of the population. It could be with very die-hard collectors. Maybe it doesn't have to be millions of people. It could be thousands of people or hundreds of people, whatever. But your name sooner or later has to go up in recognition for your artwork to go up in value. And why am I touching little different things? I know I go back and forth because I just want to touch on the aspect of marketing. What is it? How does it help us? Why do we need it? And I'm going to start giving you guys also some videos. And next week we're going to start with that as well, with more specifics on art marketing, what you can do, and little things. And if you guys have questions right now about maybe what you can do or how you can approach certain I don't know if you're trying to look into selling your artwork or licensing your work, and I have a bit of experience with that kind of stuff, gallery showing and things like that. Let me know, please. Also, here's the thing about marketing. Let me step back. Let me step back to the whole Van Gogh thing, okay? Starbucks. So, why did this guy? Why did this happen? A lot of people tend to think that, well, it's because it wasn't that his artwork was any good. It was because there was something emotionally happening with this guy, right? With Van Gogh, Vincent Van Gogh. And other people say, no, his artwork was really good. I heard both opinions, right? His artwork was really good. His brother was pushing it. Actually, it was his brother's wife, I believe, that was pushing the artwork. But his brother was pushing it, and because he was a gallerist, right? How's it going, Tracy? About copywriting your work, Tracy asks, how do you copyright your work? Here's one of the things that I think about copywriting. It's sort of like the go-to for most artists right away. I personally, whether you copyright your work or you don't, it's yours. I personally didn't jump that right away when I was starting. And I know that you asked how now about me, right? I'll give you a little background because I think it's a very interesting topic. When it comes to copywriting your work, I believe that most of us go there because we kind of fear at someone else taking it, and many of the reasons or many of the times that I've seen, I think that's the best way to do it. To put the C. Tracy asks about should we put the C of copyright on your work. I think that's the best way to do it. Put a C. The poor man's guide to copywriting is you take a picture, right? This is for anything. For a song, I used to write songs. I used to be in a band. You take a picture. You print the picture. You put it in an envelope and you mail it to yourself. Okay? You mail it to yourself and you don't open it, so that way it's proved that the stamp of the post office, right? It's sealed. It's there. They call it the poor man's copyright. The other way is, of course, it's much more costly. It's good if you're doing very few pieces of work. But if you're like me and like many other artists who create a vast number of works, it starts getting very, very pricey, and it starts slowing you down. And I found that for many artists, the idea of copywriting it comes from fear. From fear that someone is going to somehow take our image and reproduce it somewhere overseas, or maybe even paint the same image and then just put their name there, and or use your name. Who knows? We have all these fears. This is one of the very first things that gets passed around in artist circles. I personally think that topic, it's something that we shouldn't focus right away. And I know that it creates a bit of fear. I understand it creates a bit of anxiety with artists. I know a lot of artists, I sell on eBay, I sell on Etsy, and I know that a lot of artists put these big watermarks. My experience has been, people know it's yours. Like, people already know it's yours, And if you put your signature, and you put your signature on the back, and you put the C for copyright, people already know. I don't know how many years. I really can't give you advice on that, because it's well, it's not me, right? It's someone who does copywriting, law. But I think you own the piece from the time of creation to like something like 70 something years. I don't know, it's like 72, 75, something like that. But the piece is yours, right? Something. Go find go figure that out. Not for me, guys, but it's something like that from what I understand. So before it becomes public domain, right? But when it comes to copywriting, it's very simple. Yeah, put the C or take a picture of it, mail it to yourself, and then that way you have a proof, right, that you created it on a certain date, because it gets stamped by the postal service, and it has a date there or whatever. It shows that it got through another party, not you. It was verified that it. Oh, awesome. Patty, thank you so much for sharing the video. I really appreciate it. If you guys are finding some sort of a value here, please share it. I'm going to start going into different topics. Tracy Jones asked a really cool question about copywriting. And my take on copywriting, again, is something that I believe we go to very quick. Copywriting usually has to do with licensing work. For example, if you're going to go in and get your work into a licensing company, you get into a licensing agreement, right? Now they're going to start reproducing your work. And now you can put you guys can have an agreement between the company and you about how many reproductions they can do, about how many, what places to sell it, how long can they have, they own the license, and all sorts of things, like own the image, right? And how many reproductions they can do. You can see that a lot in stock images with photographers. They tend to use that a lot. When we're starting out, that is something that you want to get a lawyer, especially a copyright lawyer, and you want to review licensing agreements in order for copyright. When we're starting out and just paint and get your stuff out, I found it to be really not even important at all, and it's just one of those things, as artists, we're told around, what if someone steals your image? The odds are very low, and if it does happen, I don't know. I haven't really heard of anyone. I have a lot of artist friends. I've never heard of anyone. I heard on TV somewhere, kind of like someone got mugged in the back alley. That's where I see those stories, but I never really heard of anything like that. So I'll leave you with that. Let me move on to the next one. Also, if you guys have more questions, please. I'm sorry, Tracy, I can't get so much into the copywriting and all of that, because that's more of a copyright law, right? It changes, and it's a little complex. One of the things that I do know is you can go on Google. We used to do this, and you can go for how to copyright or whatever, and send your get information from Washington. That's really where thank you. That's really where where you're gonna get they send you a package, a little package for copywriting. You get it from, you used to get it from Washington. I don't know where anymore, but I used to Google that, and that's how I copyrighted a couple of images and a few songs and things like that. But I never really got much into it because of that, because it creates sort of a fear many times with artists. See, I see a lot of artists trying to sell their work and they have these huge watermarks, and in my opinion, it really doesn't do them help with putting, watermarks and all this kind of thing, because it sort of sends for me, right? It sort of sends the wrong message from the start, and I just, I don't think about that kind of stuff really. But it is very important. I mean, I'm not trying to say it's not important. It is very important, especially when you want to license the work and you're going into licensing agreements with publishers. Okay. Here's the other thing too. We get some more coffee. Here's the other thing. When it comes to marketing the work, many times we think that it's up to someone else. We have to leave the work to someone else, some sort of art agent, the gallery. Someone is going to market, and it's not us. First of all, art agents are almost I call them unicorns. They don't exist, you guys. They're just salespeople for big galleries. But again, it's one of those things that gets passed around. I feel like the artist agent is almost like a myth. People keep talking about the art agent. When the art agent is going to move me, sort of like it does exist in sports, right? It exists in art, but it's not the way we think about it. In sports, it does, but they also work with big teams and whatnot. So they're really salespeople. They just don't call themselves salespeople. They call themselves agents. When it comes to artists, we think that someone else is going to rescue us from this marketing burden. Guys, it is not true. It is up to us. We have to do what we can in order to get our message out there. Another thing that we believe is that if we show the work in a gallery, the gallery is going to do all the marketing efforts. This is also a myth. The galleries, usually, for the most part, unless they're these big, very established, high-end galleries selling left and right? Sometimes galleries can be big and they're bleeding. They're not really selling, and many times they don't have they were established by the owner, but the people below them, the people that are working and managing, many times have no clue. I've experienced this over and over. Have no clue whatsoever when it comes to marketing and just getting the message out into the city or whatever when you're going to do an art show. It is not up to anyone else. It is up to us. We have to figure out, we have to find out, we have to talk to other artists who are already also marketing and figure out what it takes and what we need to do in order to get our artwork out there. As so many of us say, get our artwork out. Thank you. Thank you. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Shanaz? Please let me know. She asks, your views, she's saying your views are always on point in my way of thinking. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's always good to know that I'm bringing value, and some people are, yeah. And again, this whole thing about marketing is that we think it's up to someone else. Someone else is going to come and rescue us. And when you go and take your artwork to a gallery, thank you so much, Shanaz. Okay, thank you. We think we're going to give it to the gallery, and then the gallery is going to exhibit it. And here's one of the things we think. Whatever we're doing, this idea, I barely begin to understand it. It is a cold bucket of ice water. So bury yourselves. Whatever you're doing, you're not doing enough. And this is a very hard thing to digest, to swallow, and digest. How's it going, Mary? Thank you so much for coming and hearing my awesome rants here. So whatever you're doing is not enough. And we tend to think that we're already doing so much. When it comes to marketing your work, most people, see, galleries win. Here's one of the reasons why galleries win, okay? They get a lot of artists Okay, any platform, a gallery is a platform, right? Any platform that brings in many people together. Shana says that's so true. We need to do more. It's so true. We really do. You know, Jeff Koons says that we have a fundamental problem as human beings. We're not aggressive enough. I completely agree with that. So any platform that brings a lot of people in, see, a gallery brings different artists, right? Sculptors, photographers, you know, people, jewelry makers. So they rely on the word of mouth of all these people. This is one of the things that kind of gets them going. You know, they bring in a lot of people, so all these people, when they do a show, they tell their 20, 30 artists, we're going to do a show. And because everybody has a piece in there, they all want to tell their friends and family. So it kind of works like Amway and like this type of businesses, small businesses, no, it's based on word of mouth and visits. So galleries win already that way, and I'm not bashing on galleries because it's a great way to get. I mean, that's been for hundreds of years or over 100 years or so. I don't know, and it's still till today one of the main avenues for artists to get their work known and bought. But galleries win right off the bat. Because most of the time, they're not buying your work. It's so true. It's so true. Shana says, I think it's the thought of rejection that holds us back sometimes. It really is. The whole idea that maybe I'm going to be rejected. They're not going to like my work. What if I sound stupid? What if my work doesn't fit here? If it doesn't fit there, it's okay. Go anyways. Maybe they'll refer to you to another place where your work does fit. Maybe, who knows? I mean, it's all about possibility. It really is all about possibility. So getting back to this gallery thing, that they have all these people. They're already winning because they're borrowing your work, right? It's consignment. They're borrowing it, and if they sell it, well, everybody wins. If they don't sell it, they don't have to pay for it. You know, it's free inventory in a way for galleries, right? So they have, you know, usually our galleries have a stable or around 20 to 50 artists, you know. It's usually an artist stable, between 20 to 50 artists, and sometimes more depending on the size of the gallery. But when they do a show, they say, next weekend we're going to have a show and we're going to present, John Smith with his photography. They tell everybody that is in the gallery, they tell everyone, they say, hey, John Smith is going to have an exhibit, and one of your pieces is here. Go get some people because you might sell it, you know? And that's a good thing. Everybody wins, right? Yes, but the gallery tends to win more, of course, because they are the platform. So what does this have to do with me talking about marketing? With artists, only rely on that. Your chances of success are extremely low. And what we need to do as artists is either go get more galleries, do what the galleries are doing, go get more people, right? More places, so that essentially we're repeating what the gallery is doing, or it's going to come down to an audience either way, right? But not rely on just the gallery's efforts, because the gallery doesn't. What I'm trying to say is that the gallery doesn't have to put that much effort anymore. Unless they're very driven and they're trying to, their business is booming and they really, they're doing things, really great, then, but it's still not enough because they have all these artists to attend to. So that's one of the reasons I say, look, don't rely on the gallery. I made that mistake many, many times. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five. Many times I made that mistake, thinking that, well, maybe if I get a better gallery, maybe if I get a better gallery, maybe if I talk to a better artist agent, maybe this artist agent is not, it's not good enough. What if I talk to someone who's more, it really comes down to you putting your efforts and finding opportunity everywhere. This is one of the things that doesn't really get talked about when it comes to marketing your artwork. And I love to touch on this kind of stuff because I know that there's a lot of information out there about marketing and selling your artwork, but I've also realized that a lot of it, it's geared towards a more purist sense of being an artist, represent yourself correctly and this and that. But we really don't talk about the the reality that is more aggressive. How to stand out on show instead of galleries. Oh, I love that. I love that. How do you stand out if you're doing an art show instead of galleries? If you're doing an art show and you only have one piece there and you want to stand out, it really will come down to some sort of audience. You have to bring audience to yourself. Now, one of the things that I've done is that I have kept the emails of many of my patrons. So when I'm going to have a show or I'm going to do something, I send them an email, and really everything that you do, everything that is geared in marketing, it comes down to an audience. And building an audience, it's one of the simplest things to do, but hardest when it comes to labor. You know, because you have to somehow get a relationship, whether it's through email, through YouTube, through Facebook, whatever it is. You have to. There's so many platforms now, right? We have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, all of these things. The main one that has worked for the longest time is email. Before that, it was the phone number, right? Everybody had the Rolodex. The way to stand out is very simple. You have to get people to come see your work, and there's really no way around that one. Here's a little trick: if you paint small words and you're in a big gallery, don't stretch yourself a little bit and paint something big, and try to get the work in there, something bigger. Because if you're lost in all of these works in a gallery and there's a show happening, you want to have a big piece. Work something out with the gallery owner in order to have one of those what are called showstoppers. And that's one of the ways. Okay, so Patty asks, what percent should I give to personal people who let me hang my art in their offices? This is one of the best ways, Patty, to show your work locally. I'm so glad you touched on that. I learned this actually about 9 years ago from a photographer. Okay? I'm sorry, Shanaz. I'm sorry that I'm frozen. I hope I'm frozen. So Patty asked, what percentage should you give to personal people who let you hang their artwork in their offices? This is one of the best things, Patty. One of the best ways to do this, okay, I'm going to touch a little bit on it, is you want to get as many offices as possible. This is how I started selling my work locally. I learned this from a photographer. His name is Chuck Lewis Photography. He's in... I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's here in the States, but I don't exactly remember where. But he's from the east of the U.S. And he talks about this. What you want to do is don't give them anything, because you're providing a service, okay? If you can get away with that, if you can find a way to talk to them and to sell them, look, I'm going to come decorate. And every month, I'm going to change 1 or 2 pieces. That's even more pleasing to them, because you're giving them a free service. Maybe it's not every month. Maybe try to do it every 3 months, you know, depending on your time and how you can do it. But that's one of the best ways to do it, okay? You want to go ahead and work a deal with them so that you don't get to pay them anything, because you are already providing a service. You're providing decor. Now, if push comes to shove and you really need to, and people are like, well, what are you going to give me? Please don't do it so high. You really don't need to pay them to start out with. You really don't. But if you want to go that route, don't give them more than 20%. It really, because you're providing a service. See, a gallery is a business. A home office, a doctor's office, A, B, and C, you're providing a service at that point, especially if you start rotating artwork. I'm going to talk about that one. That's a great strategy. I'm so glad you touched on that, because that is exactly how I started selling my work in outside the galleries. Tracy Jones asks, bigger the better. They do cost so much more than smaller pieces. It's so true, but see, it comes down to impact, okay, Tracy? It comes down to impact. If you are lost in a place and you don't have a big audience, then you have to make a big splash. You have to be loud. Like they say, squeaky tire gets the oil. You have to be very loud. And one way of being very loud is having multiple pieces. That is one of the reasons why I paint a lot. I paint a lot of smaller pieces because I need to let people know that I'm here. Hey, I'm here, I'm here. So I go on different platforms, I talk to different people, and I paint a lot of smaller pieces. Now, if I were in a place where I'm not buried with everyone else, then and I do that in other places, I go take my showstoppers. Or I'm sorry, I go take it's the other way around. I take my showstoppers where I'm buried, and I take my smaller pieces where I'm not. And because it doesn't really matter. I'm the only one there. You know, if you're the only one there, it doesn't matter the size. But if you are buried, you want to be able to get, and I know it costs, it's much more, but try to figure it out, or try to get a lot more smaller pieces and create a collage, an art, what's called a gallery wall. Okay, that's another great way of doing it. How do I keep up with the framing costs? Marita asks. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Marita. How do I keep up with framing costs? She paints quickly too. I paint quickly. I have a backlog of unframed works. Can't afford to keep framing. Here's how I keep with the framing. I upsell the frame. I don't sell the frame with everything. I didn't start selling the frame because it is expensive. Framing is much more expensive than artwork. When you don't know, when you're not known, your framing is going to cost a lot more. When you become a brand or a known person, a known artist, then your artwork becomes more expensive most of the time than your framing. A lot of people focus on framing. Guys, I'm going to be very honest with you. Do not focus on framing. I know galleries are always talking about that. Oh, the piece. What galleries want is that galleries want a finished product if you're going to gallery. All right? So what I would suggest to do is what I did when I started first. Paint on canvases. They don't have to be those thick ones. They don't have to be those 2-inch thick profile museum or gallery wrap. Just make sure that they're gallery wrap. There's no staples on the sides. The staples are on the back of your canvas if you're painting on stretched canvas, okay? What you want to do is just kind of paint the sides with a little roller. Paint the sides with black paint, acrylic paint, because it dries so quick and it doesn't make a mess like an oil paint, right? Even if you paint the surface, your painting is oil, you want to paint the sides acrylic, okay? This will keep your costs down. Please ask me about if you're doing different mediums, because I have different ways of doing it for different mediums. You do not have to frame to start out with. See, we have a lot of stoppers as artists, and what you want to do is you want to remove them rather than trying to fix them and trying to find what is the less expensive way. No, you want to remove them so that when you start getting income from it, then you can go and tackle that. Now I will buy the frames that I want. But when I started, I couldn't do that. And I'm not talking about whether you can afford the expenses or not. I'm talking about the art itself gives you that. Unless you want to pay it out of your pocket, which, you know, it's up to you. But I really wouldn't go that route. I wouldn't start framing to get my work out. You really want to just get your work out. Patty, thank you. So far I have not paid, but in case I had to. I like your idea about alternating artwork. Yes. Sorry, I'm kind of reading a bit slow. But yes, the whole idea of alternating artwork is great. People loved it. Small restaurants, mom and pop shops. You really have to think about traffic when it comes to sharing your work in the community. Okay, what you want to do here's, and I'm gonna make a whole video on this because this is a great something I really have never talked about, and it's one of the ways that I got my work known and locally when I started getting not known but, which is more important to start out with. Marita says thank you. That is very helpful, and you pronounced my name correctly. Yes, Marita. I love that. So yeah, guys, that's what you want to do. You want to, if you're gonna go and get your artwork in local places, you want to let them know. First of all, I'm gonna make an extensive video on it because I really do it requires time to explain the whole process of it, because there's a bit of a process. But what you want to do is that you're going to go sell something, but you're not selling them the artwork. You're selling them the idea that you will decorate for them at no cost. But first you're going to make it sound that you're going to, that they're going to buy something. You know, you're dressed for success. I used to put a suit on and blah, blah. You dress top notch so that they know that you're not. See, what you want to do is that you don't want to give the perception that you are there to bother them. You're not. Okay? So you go and you do, you know, the whole thing really nice. You show up with the work, a couple of pieces, and you say you're providing this service. Now, most people right away, they're going to try to brush you off, right? They're like, no, I don't want to pay, I don't want to pay, I don't want to pay. Well, you gotta buy that time with them, okay? And if you don't know about sales, this is a very good thing to do, is learn a little bit about toe-to-toe selling, face-to-face selling, and a couple of YouTube videos on one of the best sellers, you know, salespeople out there is going to do wonders. Get a little Tony Robbins, a little Grant Cardone, a little Gary Vaynerchuk. These guys are all salespeople. Get some videos on that. Brian Tracy, whatever. I don't know whether you like them or not. Their ethics or their way they think, they are great salespeople. So get a little bit of that, and provide a whole idea that you're going to sell, that they're going to buy without saying they're going to buy, because it's this very awesome thing that, oh my God. And then at the end, you smack them with, you don't have to pay anything. It's a free service. And they're just going to be like, give it to me. Give it to me. It's really cool. It's one of the best ways to get your artwork in different places. But that will only work if you do multiples. If you do one or two places, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to say it doesn't work. It comes down to like everything else. But when I learned, I was doing it in about 15 different places. 15 different places. And that's when you start selling one or two pieces a week. Okay? So, so Tracy says, great idea on face-to-face sales and the free service. Yes, when you're starting out, most of us make the mistake of trying to sell things. You don't want to sell things. You want to give a free service. You want to go with free service, because in sales, everybody's trying to sell. Everybody wants something. Everybody's like, buy my artwork, buy this, buy that. Everybody wants something, and you don't want to start their relationship like that. You want to start giving them something. You know, it's like they say, honey attracts more, right? So you want to give them something, and that's one of the best ways to get your art known. If you only do one or two of those places, and you don't have more artwork, again, I'm going to make a whole video about this, but try to do it in very high traffic areas. Even malls. Malls are like tremendous for that kind of stuff, because you're decorating. See, the whole thing is that you're decorating, and people love that. As long as you're not there and you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to sell you this, because everybody's trying to sell something. You want to decorate, and then what you need is an audience. What you need is traffic. And when the traffic is going, then the opportunities. I'm not promising that you're going to sell. I don't know, because I don't know your hustle. But I do promise that that's going to create opportunity, and I don't know what that's going to look like. You know, I don't know if that's going to look like can you paint a portrait, or I like this painting but in a larger size, or I like this large one in a smaller one. See, what you want to create is the opportunity to create a relationship with someone who likes what you do. That is the key. Most of us don't understand that when we're starting out, but that took me some sweat and blood to understand. Sweat and blood. You're trying to create the opportunity to create a relationship with someone who raised their hand and said, I like what you do. Guys, I went about 14 minutes beyond. I try to keep them 30 minutes and compact. But please, if you have more questions, I'm gonna take some time later today to answer you guys. Write your questions, please. Write your questions on this video. Share the video. If you know some artists who's like, man, they don't know what, they're having a hard time, you're probably showing very little. You're probably creating very little artwork, and I don't mean little in size. And please don't go to the when we're trying to create artwork, we usually go to the deceased artists, you know, the artists were dead and were somehow famous when the church was funding money, or when, you know, there was this patrons, very profitable. But a lot of people tell me, well, Vermeer only created very few pieces of artwork, and he was one of the greatest artists. Yeah, but we don't know what was happening. I mean, we have a movie that says he was broke, but we don't really know what was happening. Do not compare yourself to artists back then. Try to see what artists are doing now. Now is what matters. Try to see what artists are winning. What are they doing? What's going on? How's the stuff working? Thank you so much. Thank you for your refreshing way of thought. Much needed. Yeah. Thank you, Shanaz. And so, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Share the love. If you guys found any value, please share it, because I too am trying to help people out there. But maybe, I don't know, maybe someone's like, I don't know how to move forward. And if I already been through that, and if I'm able to help at least one of you, it's a good thing. I mean, that's why we're here, creating value back and forth. And in that value, maybe, I don't know, maybe someone's like, I love what you do, and I create the opportunity that I'm talking to you guys about right now. Take care. Much love. Till next time. Tomorrow, don't forget, before I log up. Tomorrow, Wednesday, live artwork session. I will be doing an artwork session. I don't know, I'll surprise you. I don't know if it's going to be an oil painting, an acrylic painting, a ink wash, a drawing. Who knows? We'll figure it out tomorrow, okay? Take care, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.